And well, hello there. Okay, so I'm at a new location, and so you can't always be at a nice area like a nice forest or something. Sometimes I'm just trying to get this camera. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes you're in a parking lot. I'm in a parking lot right now, and right now I'm just doing some of my work. I'm writing. I'm catching up on a course that I'm doing right now. And one of the things I am doing as well is trying to figure out how to stay cool in a van, especially on a hot summer day. And today's not that bad. Actually, today's right now it's I think about 22 or 23. So it's just... So anyway, I don't know if you've ever seen this at some of the forums, some of the VanLife groups. Somebody says something like, "Oh, it's cold in Canada, and what should I do? What should I do?" And someone will always chime in and say, "Oh, just move south, move to Florida or something," right? And unfortunately, they can't always do that because of circumstances. I've had that happen where, I posted about, when it gets cold, and so I installed a diesel heater, and I do have a video about that. But somebody has said, "Oh, why don't we just move down south?" Well, you know what, dude? I don't have the circumstances to do that. Maybe you do, and that's great, but I don't. So not everybody has the circumstance. But if you do have the circumstance to move somewhere cooler, let's say you're in Florida or Arizona, come on up to Canada, up north, up in North Bay. The more north you are, the cooler it gets. And also in the forest area, it's nice and cool. So come on up north. But, the reality is maybe that's not realistic for you. So maybe changing your environment, like your location, your region, doesn't make sense. What's another way? I'm just looking outside. Another way is leave your vehicle. Get out of your van, if you can, right? So if you can get out of your van because it's too hot, just go out for a walk, go to a shade, and that could... You know what? Another way is, I'm looking here at my notes here, is change your clothing. Instead of a sweater, have a t-shirt. Instead of like what I've got right now, rolling down your windows can help as well. Another thing I did was I got a wet towel and I put it in my fridge. And then after about 15-20 minutes, it got really cold. If it's there for longer, it's even colder. If you can't, you can always take a shower somewhere. Putting one of those giant Reflectix windshield covers. So one thing I do, and you probably can hear in the background, is I have a fan. Park in the shade. Underground parking lots. Maybe a carport of some sort. Go out in the forest, like a conservation area. That's what they're called here in Canada. Provincial parks, conservation area. Anywhere where there's a tree or something, right? Or maybe even under a bridge, if that's okay. I'm not sure. I think I mentioned it in one of the other videos I'm splicing together. If you notice, I'm actually putting all this stuff together from different scenes that I had, because I think this one of the most difficult subjects for me is how to stay cool. I have custom window covers with Reflectix so that it's reflecting the sun away from your vehicle. Another thing I do is I drink more water. And yet another way, and that's if you can get a hold of one, is getting a max air fan or maybe a fantastic fan and creating a hole in the roof of your van or vehicle and essentially having it run. That's one way to do it. If you can do it, apparently it works really well. I think it would work well because if you reverse it, you're removing heat from your hot air from your vehicle. And really, for an area to be cold, what you want to do is you want to remove the heat. So like the absence of heat is what's going to give you cold. And maybe that's why it's cold in space. Okay, so you tried all those little suggestions I gave you, and it just didn't work. And I guess maybe this is what you're waiting for. Here's what I did. I actually picked up, get this, a miniaturized air conditioner, an AC. Now, already off the top, I want to tell you something, okay? This isn't the typical AC that you pick up from Home Depot or something, or the window units. This one has a lower BTU. I think it's like 1500, 2000 BTU, and it's more of a spot cooler. but I want to tell you it actually does work. It works pretty good. And the next set of videos is going to give you an idea of how I sort of like cobbled one together for my van. I mean, I got it working and it's pretty good, and it's not, to me, 100%. It's not what I would call a clean install, but you know, this minivan has been such a huge learning experience for me, and it's something that I'm going to carry over to my next build, my next silver cabin, right? So right now, I'm pretty happy with what I've got right now. So whatever I've learned here, I can translate over to my build, or you know, maybe somebody needs help with a build, I can do that as well. So I'm going to roll the video, take it for what it is, and there are some things there. At the time when I got it, I didn't know really exactly what I was doing. I knew most things, I researched it enough, but when I finally got it installed, it worked, and this AC, this mini AC, worked really well for me. So, hey guys, so you probably saw a sort of like a jump in that video. You know, I decided not to mention the name of the company who I initially contacted, but was sorely disappointed with their customer service, because I don't want to do that. I want to stay positive. I always want to try to do that. Okay, I mean, anybody can be negative. Like, that's easy, right? And anybody can criticize. But I want to get away from that. So I removed the clip. If you're interested in finding out what it is, you can message me. However, I prefer not, at this time, I prefer not saying who it is. Oh my goodness, James, just roll it already, okay? Basically, show us the stuff. So I'm going to show it to you, and maybe I'll do a better video the next time around. It's been such a busy month, but hopefully this will help you out, and hopefully you stay cool. And yeah, I'm probably going to put this video out in June, and maybe that might be too late for some of you, but I know it took about 10 days for the unit to get to me, so that might be a good thing. So I unboxed it and I pulled it up, and all this stuff comes out. Oh man, this looks totally awesome. But yeah, we'll see how it works. So here's the battery here. We've got 14.4 volts right now going through it, about 3 amps, and it's charging. And I've kept it going for at least 70%. At this point, it's at 80% battery. And here's the unit right here. Here are the connections. So I've got a positive wire and I've got a negative wire, and I've shielded them with electrical tape. I could also shield this one as well, but I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm assuming that's the on-off switch. And then these are attached over to these clamps here, right here. And I've got this clamp as well, so a positive and a negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the negative right here, and I'm going to slap it onto the battery there, and I'm going to take the positive, okay, and the positive, and I'm going to place it here, and then here's what's going to happen right here. Like this. I unboxed it, took out the screws, and I picked it up this morning. Rather, I found it at the front door step. So everything's set up here. I've got my positive and my negatives. I've got this thing here. It's a PSV 300, and so far everything looks pretty straightforward. I'm going to turn it on, and let's take a look at what we get here. So we have that green, which is fantastic. I can already tell you this is starting to look really good. That's exactly what I was expecting based on the information I got. And I can hear the compressor. The compressor started up, and I am indeed getting cool air. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is kind of give you a description of the next step. So once we determined that it actually did work, I started to create an area where I'm going to be able to place this, and this is the best place where I figured that it would work. It didn't, I didn't have to make a hole in my van, but rather I used one of the side windows, okay, and I created this frame where the exhaust would come out. So I taped it up. You can actually see it, okay, where it's taped out, and then I also sealed it so that no hot air would come in. Now, what happens is before I turn on the air conditioner, what I would do is I would actually open up the window, and I'm going to show that to you just right after this scene right here. So I'm going to go over there and just going to go reach in there and open up that window, and there. So there it is. So it covers everything else off. There's very little hot air that actually comes back, but at least at this point, the exhaust of the hot air, the AC, where it's vented out, will actually escape. So that way there's no hot air staying within the cabin. And so here's what I've got is I'm using cardboard to create a template of the shape of the van, rather of the encasing. So in retrospect, I think I should have done this before I did this, but anyway, it's done. I'm just gonna build it out. As you can see, there's some gaps there, but they shouldn't be too much of an issue. I'll cover them up. And here's another view right here. So what I did was I cut a hole there, and then I'm going to add a piece of foam there. And here's that piece, and what I did was I just used plain old carpenter's glue, and I glued it. So there it is. I'm going to wait for it to dry. And for this iteration, what I did was I added some blue insulation there, type of foam. So what I'm going to do there is going to keep everything inside, and hopefully it'll be a little quieter as well. And here's the foam placed in, and hopefully that'll keep everything in there and sort of draft everything out to the other side. You'll notice that I put some screws there. It's temporary just because I didn't want to wait. I glued it. Okay, so now I can probably put the cover on. And here's the second piece of that insulation, just the front portion. So it covers it off. And there's a bit of gap there, but at this point, because it is just a draft build, it should be fine. And so here we are, we've got the cardboard, and I've got it going right around to the other side, and this actually just comes right off like that. Okay, so now it's gonna go straight in like that, and I've got this area there I cut out. So it's gonna keep most of it in place, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And here's the initial casing here, and you'll notice that it's covered off. So I now have a template in which I can cut more durable materials, but at this time I'm just going to leave it as is, just because I want to see how it's going to operate and how it's going to work. The next step is to hook up the power to it. Hey guys, how you doing? So guess what I'm working on? It's right behind me. Okay guys, so here's the setup right now, and you can hear it running. So I have this fan here that's running, and then I have this thing here. I have this tube, and some of you may have seen this tube from before. And this tube is where the cool air coming out from the air conditioner comes out over here. So right now, if I put my hand to it, it's cold air. There's no ice, there's no other, there's no ice rather. It's not a swamp cooler like some people will use, which in some cases does work. At least that's what I've heard in dry areas. But a swamp cooler will not work when it's humid, and that's where this air conditioner that I have, a miniaturized air conditioner behind this box here that I made, which is at the side of my van going out my window, that's where that air conditioner is. And I'm looking for the original set of pictures that I had taken so you can sort of see what it looks like, because when you do get it, when you do receive it, you have to order it from overseas. You have to create your own casing for it. And this one, actually, I'll be the first to say it, I was kind of hesitant and I thought maybe I wasted my money, but no, right now outside is 32 degrees Celsius and it's humid. I'm in Canada, that's about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm in my van, everything closed up, and I'm cool. Now, here's a caveat. Unless your insulation is really on point, this is not going to work that great. It's more of a what's called a spot cooler. And right now I have it pointed at me. That's why I have this thing happening here. This particular I don't know what you would call it. It's a pointer that I made. A very simple device that allows me to sort of like to point it wherever I want. And in most cases I point it at myself. I point it at my face, my body, and that's totally enough for this thing to actually work and cool me off. So again, it's not going to cool off the entire cabin, but it will cool you off when it's pointed at you. And in my books, it's allowed me to sleep really comfortably, and it's also kept me cool, and it's nothing like a fan. Now, what would be great for me is if I had what's called a max air fan at the roof, but at this point in this build, I'm just not prepared to make any holes in it on the roof as well. I don't have the tools or expertise, so I'll have to look up a video for that. And if I do put one in, I will let you guys know. Hey guys, how you doing? I just wanted to show you my little project here, and you probably can see this thing here. Guess what it is? Looks pretty familiar for some of you, maybe. I'll give you a hint. It's very cool. Get it? Get it? And for example, here it is, clipped in. Okay, so I clipped it onto this sort of black laptop desk thing, and I've got it clipped on, and now it's pointing directly at me, and it's nice and cool. I could feel it. It's very nice, and it works really well. So that's something I added. You know, could I have made it better? Absolutely, but at this time I'm really going for function, and to me it doesn't look that bad. And again, this hose goes right to the AC, which is right at the side there. And unfortunately, when I was building this thing here, I didn't think, first of all, I'd end up on YouTube or doing any of this stuff. So this is kind of like, in retrospect, like going back, but it wasn't that difficult to actually put up. What I did was I created some like a little platform here at the side. Gosh, I wish I had taken some more pictures. I think I did take pictures. If I can find it, I'll post it. And then over here at the back there, I created like a cover. I don't know if you can even see it. Wow. Yeah, guys, use your imagination. But yeah, but it is possible to have a 12-volt miniaturized AC and have it cool in your van and be comfortable. And in my case here, it's 32 degrees Celsius. It's humid, and I'm nice and cool in my van, and that's about 90 degrees Fahrenheit for my American friends. So yeah, quite happy about it. And let me show you what this thing looks like. So what I did was, so I can sort of easily point it, okay? So instead of it sort of like dangling anywhere, I created this little, I guess, box thing. It's empty, right? And I screwed in a clip, and I can clip it anywhere, or I can just have it as is right now, and it allows me to sort of redirect it. Okay, so check it out. Right now I have it pointed directly at me, and I'm lying down here. I got my other fan going, and it's cool. I feel pretty good, and it's spot cooling me. Now if I were to sort of sit back to where my feet are right now, I just wiggled them right now, and I don't have that thing pointing at me, it's not going to be as cool. It'll be slightly cool, but not that great. However, having it pointed directly at me, it's cold, cool air. And you know, there's a big part of me that's thinking, if the if the insulation on this van was much better, like if I actually insulated it, like as per like what most van lifers do, then I think it would probably keep the place cool. Although I'd probably pick up another unit. Now what's great about this, and I don't know if I even mentioned it, I think I did, was that this particular unit, this AC, miniaturized AC, runs on 12 volts. And that's freaking amazing, okay? And doesn't take up a lot of amps. I think it's about 7 amps, about 7 amps, and that's not that bad. So it'll last a while, and I run it for about 2 or 3 hours, and I'm perfectly fine. I run it for a bit longer than that, but I kind of make sure that maybe I might have some shore power, or my batteries are completely topped up. So it's a 12 volt miniaturized AC, and once again, from the top, it's a spot cooler. It isn't what I would term like your conventional air conditioner, but it sure works great, and I'm lying down here just totally comfortable and pretty happy about things. And so there you have it. It's just right behind me. Right now it's pointed out my back, the little hose there. And, you know, it's keeping my back cool, and it's keeping me cool. I even have these crazy overalls, which I get out of obviously later on in the evening when I'm about to go to bed. And for the most part, it's doing its job. Now, I don't work for the company. I don't get any kickbacks or whatever affiliate. I'm no affiliate. I'm just some dude that decided to try it out, and this is going to be my second summer with this particular unit. I'll post a link down in the description on where you can get it. I did have an issue with some things, but you know, they got back to me really quick. The service was good. Now again, this is anecdotal. This is my experience. I'm hoping your experience, if you do go for it, is going to be just as good. I'm happy to sort of give them my recommendation, okay? But again, with a caveat in that, hey, it's working for me. Again, it is not a high BTU type of AC. It's more of a spot cooler. I think it's like 1500 BTUs. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's about that high. Whereas your average AC in a car is about 40,000. So that sort of puts it in perspective, okay? So keep that in mind. And it runs off 12 volts, which is absolutely fantastic. So, okay, so I think I'm pretty much done. Oh, gosh, how can I forget? I was going to talk to you about the Max Air fan. So I was going to place it at the top over there, but you know, I kind of chickened out because I don't know how to install one. And right now I'm not in a position to sort of try to figure it out. I've got other things I got to get done. You know, I work full time, and I'm taking a course. I've got all these things happening in my little life that, you know, for better or worse, is what's shaping me who I am today. So yeah, so that's where things are right now. That being said, thanks very much for visiting me. Thanks very much for basically spending a bit of time with me and listening to me talk about something that interests me, and hopefully it interests you as well. You know, if you like the video, please like it. If you think it's worthy, please subscribe. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section below. I will, you know, reply back as fast as I can. And yeah, suggest it, and yeah, thanks very much. Bye, guys. And there you have it. Please support my channel by commenting and subscribing. It's free, and it can help you with your own tiny home build, as I will be giving out free tips and tricks on how you can make it happen. And if you believe someone else may benefit, please share the video of my curated playlist.